One of the main interests in making 825 milligrams and What is the Weight of Democracy, a solo piece, was to try to make a piece in which I would not establish myself as the center of all relations. And considering the fact that it is a solo, it does sound a bit ironic. How to make a solo and not become the center focus of all experiences was an appealing ideas and to defying the Cartesian mode of conceiving the world in which man is established as subjectum and the world is the object in a relation of means and ends. What are the consequences of making art in a way in which the artist establishes himself as the holder of the meaning?
Representationalism is a system of thought that fixes the world as an object and resource for human subjects. As a mode of thought that prescribes all that is known, it orders the world and predetermines what can be thought.
In 825 milligrams, I didn't want there to be a fixed center. I wanted the center to be movable, to be everywhere. Everything. I wanted every moment of everything in the space of the performance to have the potential of becoming
Man is no longer vulnerable or open to that which lies before and looms up to confront him, but instead he secures himself as the center and takes precedence over all other possible centers of relationship.
In which Edward Sampson calls the acting ensemble, in which the focus is removed from the acting individual artist to the relations between the individual body, the social body.
He is no longer looked upon by what is, but is the one who represents what is.
825 milligrams. The acting ensemble would include the light operator, the sound, the discursive knowledge, the balls of twine, myself, the recording, the audience, the speaker. Fiction leaking into reality. Reality leaking, spilling over fiction. This has been one of the main focal points of interest for me in this year. Here. Film. Whereas in my last project this was already noticeable, now I've looked to set up the ground. I mean the ground. To inevitably collide into each other with the hope
the introduction of the light operator as an element of the performance,
finding
with
and
the
generating
power to change the course of events,
meaning,
giving her things like the possibility of interrupting my actions, of verbalizing things, of improvising with what I was proposing, precipitated the performance into the undulations, the political background with which reality, playing in the construction of 825 milligrams. The economic and political system we find ourselves in, and establishing links with the medical and pharmaceutical world, started to take form in a scene that emerged from this relation with the light operator. A scene occurred in which I kept on insisting I didn't want to perform. And anymore. I didn't want to perform. At the same time, I continued on performing. Yeah, I continued. As she kept on saying, I don't want to perform. She didn't want to perform. I kept on pushing her into performance. A lot of people came up to me later, and if we look at it politically, Slavoj Žižek comes up with a description of what democracy is in the postmodern
The democratic attitude is always based upon a certain fetichistic I know very well that the democratic form is just a form spoiled by stains of pathological imbalance. But just the same, I act as if democracy were possible.
Our own fetichistic disavowal was clear in stating we didn't want to continue to perform, as if we didn't have any belief in it, and yet we carried on performing as we owed it to them. It was We owed it to them.
Uh-oh. Here comes Hans Tieslema.
The aesthetic cannot be understood through determination of content, but solely, as the theater of the real shows, by treading the borderline, by permanently switching, not between form and content, but between real contiguity and
the distance
stage
that
construct.
is generated in the postmodern democratic citizen in respect to the system he or she lives in had its own resonance in our piece. There's a certain gaze in both audience and performers that says something like, we know this is not it.
We know this is not it.
But we'll play with it.
Yeah.
And try to make something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We know that this that is happening is not quite it. But we'll go on with this. But we'll carry on with this.
Yeah.
But we'll see
what
this is. But we'll try to make something out of it.
An image is not the
duplicate of a thing. It's a complex set of relations between the visible and the what visible. Is called an image. It's an element in a system that creates a certain sense of reality, a certain common sense. Common sense is, in the first instance, it's a community of sensible data. Things whose visibility is supposed to be shareable by all modes of perception and the equally shareable meanings that are conferred on them. The point is not to contrapose reality to its appearances. It is to construct different realities, different forms of common sense. That is to say, different spatial temporal systems, different communities of words and things, forms and meanings. That's good.
That's good.
This creation is the work of fiction, which consists not in telling stories, but in established new relations between words and visible forms, speech and writing, here and elsewhere, then and now. You know, my brain goes the other way.
Yeah. Excuses. Okay. Go.
Images of art helps get new configurations of what can be seen, what can be said, and what can be thought and consequently in a new landscape of possible, but they do so on the condition that meaning or
effect
or effect
or effect is not anticipated.
Is not anticipated.
And this is the last word you're going to say, so really finish. How to bring forth the stories that are beating behind the images that the audience receives without anticipating meaning. How to create a common and shareable ground without imposing a meaning to the audience. Why strive to make art on the basis of non-anticipation of meaning? An endless landscape of the possible opens in front of me. To think about performance as a porous organ that lets itself be influenced by everything and anyone and that exercises a change over all elements and people that are involved in it. The non-anticipation of meaning that simultaneously precludes and derives from its interchangeability between all the elements. And the search for a shareable ground where commonness and singularity are able to coexist. Thinking performance on these terms brings forth the political implications of making new connections, developing new ideas. How can we make a form that is the content of what we are doing, and how to make work, the content of which is brought forth through the aesthetics that are implicated in the development of the work. To proceed in such ways is to give the possibility of, instead of explaining the work, actually doing the work.
That's good. That's really good for a good thing. I thought it was a bigger one.